Hi everyone, my name is Paul from Paul Digital Services, and today I'm with Ali. Ali, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, good everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ali. I run a company called McGinn & Dolphin, your experts for your digital marketing online. We're based in Petersfield and we've been servicing clients since 2009 with online marketing solutions across designing, build websites, managing your email marketing campaigns, and social media management support.
Sure. And what kind of clients do you have at the minute?
So we deal with a broad range of different clients, working with retail, charities, the legal profession, and most recently some accountants as well.
Okay. And are you affecting? Are you seeing any changes with the COVID, and or has it just been growing?
It's an interesting time, isn't it, I suppose, at the moment for businesses and what they choose to do. We've seen a lot of people sort of reinvent themselves and pivot their businesses to offer different sort of services. We've got a beauty salon that was remained closed throughout lockdown, and now she's sort of coming out of it a different sort of person, a different sort of business, which is really interesting and really great way to support her business as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing that a lot actually. A lot of mindsets have changed, and people are doing things. A lot of my clients are actually estate agents.
Yeah.
And so obviously that they couldn't go out and they couldn't do viewings and stuff, but they spent a lot of their time sort of structuring their marketing campaigns, and we've been doing a lot of stuff differently with them, I think there's a few plus sides. I mean, obviously there's a lot of negatives with having a pandemic and everything, but a lot of people sort of coming out a bit stronger.
Yeah.
A lot of the conversations I have with clients or just fellow sort of business owners and things, sort of, they're all the same set, and it's quite interesting to see it sort of unfold. I think a little bit.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, just for the viewers, the idea of these videos is like a little short series of videos we're going to be doing to sort of answer some questions about what we do and answer some pain points that you might be having to do your online marketing. It's quite an in-depth area, so we just want to sort of answer some of those and sort of try and give you some tips in each of the videos. So for today's video, we want to talk about common pain points that a lot of businesses will have, small businesses, large businesses, startups. So my question for you, Ali, is, from your experience, what are some of the most common pain points that you're getting from your customers?
So you obviously mentioned about the lockdown and how sort of lockdown and the COVID sort of changed businesses, and how they've pivoted. And I guess the most critical part of it, all of it, is actually getting your customers. Yeah, at the end of the day, if you haven't got customers in your business, then you haven't got a business to start with.
Yeah.
So obviously getting customers is quite a massive pain point for many businesses at the moment. Obviously, many businesses particularly might be thinking about cutting back, or they might also be investing. So it's a double-edged sword for many businesses. Obviously, if they're looking to invest, whatever they're looking to invest, you're making sure that your business is prime, ready to be able to cater for that demand. And I guess the other point is, when we're looking at another pain point for businesses, is actually, and it sort of ties in with the getting customers, but it's the first and foremost brand awareness. For a business, one of the things is getting out there and running my own business. I've been helping businesses since 2009. Is okay. Well, how do you go about getting your business out there into the wider market, and how do you amplify your message to your market at the right time, at the right moment, so they actually understand your products or services?
Sure. And finding the right where they are, I suppose, as well. You got this message that you're creating.
Yeah.
People might put a lot of work into the content, into the planning, but if it's not being seen by the right people, again, it sort of falls on deaf ears.
Sure.
How do you go about that?
Well, as in, what, like fixing, or how do you go about getting in?
Planning the fixing it. Yeah, I mean, every business I take on, every customer, same with you. Although sometimes the answers and the solutions are kind of in the same place, but each project's completely different in some extent.
Yeah.
To some extent, and it's assessing it, isn't it, and seeing where where to sort of start tackling first, which hurdles to fix first, I suppose,
Yeah, I mean, I've always believed in the mantra of market, message, media. The right market to the right with the right message to the right audience, to a certain extent. And if you're getting the right messages out there to your intended audience with the right media, then it's a foolproof sort of understanding of how you're working, how you're writing, how you're copywriting, and how you're communicating to your clients.
Yeah. And when I write content, when I do content, I do it for social media or SEO, I suppose.
Yeah.
We've got the videos. We're doing a video now. There's other sort of channels and platforms that people can use, and we'll probably discuss that on another video. But I do find my strategy changes a bit more with SEO and websites as opposed to what I'm putting out there on social media. Social media will be more, they're scrolling half the time on their phone, so you got to sort of catch them instantly. So like catchy video or graphic with a punchy sort of bit of text at the top sort of helps, and then especially with the videos, and you can still check out the engagements and see what kind of stuff works for that particular target audience that you're trying to tap into. And then with SEO, in some ways, I find, I'm going to shoot myself on the foot here, but sometimes SEO is it's not easier, but by looking at the data, I've actually reshuffled complete websites before because I've been looking at the data from like Google Analytics and keyword researches and things like SEMrush and stuff. And to some extent, you've actually changed the entire website to what you've previously built.
Sure.
Because I think the data and the audience sort of dictate how that site should run if you're looking at it.
Yeah, definitely. I think you touched on a few good points there. I think one of the things that many businesses do is almost hide behind a screen when it comes to social media. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned about obviously not creating content that sort of stands out, but I've seen a lot of businesses potentially even smaller businesses where you think they're a family-run business or whatever they are, using like stock photography or stock images, and actually it's the personality, and in this day and age, this personality that sells business. If it can be a photo of yourself, or it can be a photo of something live, or even this video, even just a screen grab. It just has that personality piece which sets you apart from all the Unsplash, Pexels, all the other sort of free stock image photography sort of websites that you have. And I think at the end of the day, personality does sell.
100%. It's an endless battle I have with clients, to be honest with you. Like I'm always asking them and it doesn't have to be like high quality videos. It could literally be you're walking through a car park, your Tesco's car park. You just go, oh look, I've just had an idea about something. You're tapping into the community that let's say an estate agent or I work with like local electricians and sort of tradesmen and stuff as well. You don't have to be like some sort of like high-end quality thing. And actually, I think sometimes, to be honest with you, people prefer it to be a bit more natural and sort of truthful anyway. So so literally just pick up your phone and doing stuff and putting it out there will always have have a greater response than, like you said, just putting out a picture from a photo stock and then putting some eye-catching graphics on it. Although they're great, you're not showing off your personality,
No, and I think the other thing you mentioned is obviously I'll sort of touch on it, but obviously another pain point of customers is actually just when I talk about brand awareness, it's sometimes just picking up the phone to someone. You mentioned like pick up the phone. For many businesses, people are afraid of just picking up the phone. They think, right, okay, we'll just send a brief email or a short email about our products or services and think that person is very interested in our product or service that we're offering. And actually, if you just pick up the phone, 10 times, probably about 8 times out of 10, you'll have a better success rate because people are actually a bit more receptive, potentially. You're not bombarding with the same sales message over and over again. And using a combination of email and phone
Yeah.
is a lot more powerful as well.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I was just thinking actually, I know I do a lot of social media for people, and actually some of them now are actually at a point where they'll go to the local butchers or something, and they're recognised, you know.
Sure.
So now when they're sort of face to face B2B, it's almost a much easier pitch for them now, because you know they're the guy that's sort of doing stuff to promote the local community.
Sure.
So I do feel, I mean, not every business has the same, is run the same way, you know. But if you're tapping into a particular location, then to promote businesses and charities and schools and any events and stuff, and put it on a video, and then sharing it on the Facebook groups to do is that area, that town, and then interviewing businesses and having them then sort of put it out in front of their audience and stuff, it's going to make you a lot more recognizable and improve your visibility, which is like
Sure.
key. And I think on that, it's kind of like what we're doing as well. Like I think a lot of people sort of they never sort of think about partnerships, I suppose, you know.
Yep.
So any business, there's no it's awesome to see a business sort of interviewing and doing what they can to promote fellow businesses, whatever it is, you know, and then that kind of becomes a partnership, you know. I mean, even what we're doing, this will go out on both our channels.
Sure.
And we're quite, I mean, we're not in competition, but actually we're you know, like we're quite similar in what we do. I think like there are certain things that
I think we met each other. We met each other at a Go networking event, which is a networking event in Surrey. I'm based in Petersfield, so it couldn't be. Obviously we're not opposite ends of the country, but we are in different counties and different audiences and different clients. But the similarities and collaborations is there to be seen. I would say that a lot of businesses that don't do any online networking or are too afraid to do any online networking, or just looking because they've tried networking in the past and it didn't work for them. I'd certainly recommend, in way of increasing your brand awareness, in way of reaching out to more customers, is to try more networking for your business. I would say probably about 75% of our business that we generate comes from networking and referral business, which is, if you think about it, it's a massive proportion of business. And that's just by being in front of people, talking about what we do, understanding our proposition, and then within their wider network, within their wider circles, they're constantly referring business back to us. Whether that's on Facebook, whether that's on networking, or whether that's on Facebook groups and recommendations. How many people do you see asking for recommendations on Facebook or in your local community? Because at the end of the day, we are seeing that a lot of businesses are being recommended, and it's being being at the point where you're sort of top of mind for businesses, or top of mind for that service.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I should do more of them, really, these networking events. I do them, and then I get bogged down, and then before you know it, I haven't attended one for a few weeks or a few months sometimes, But,
sure.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of them are going to reopen again now, I thought. I mean...
I think, obviously the whole, when we went into COVID, and obviously, now sort of thankfully maybe coming out of it, a lot of businesses a lot of networking groups did sort of pivot online, which is great, because at the end of the day, it allowed me personally as a business owner to experiment with other networks that probably I wouldn't have been able to do already.
Yeah.
So going to network groups, not in my county, obviously I've been, there's a Surrey one that opened, the Go networking event, which is fantastic. But also further afield, been to Birmingham, Wales, and all from my from my desk. So I haven't had to jump in the car or do anything.
No.
Obviously I've just had to be at a networking meeting and meet new people. So that's been great. And the other thing that I'd certainly recommend to business owners, if they're looking to grow and looking to get more brand awareness for their business, is actually to invest in your own knowledge. For many businesses at the moment, they're not maybe not utilizing the tools that they're currently using for their business as they effectively could be. So you talk.
What kind of tools do you mean?
So you look at something like analytics. You look at the amount of information you can get from Google and the amount of information that analytics provides you.
Mm-hmm.
It's exhaustive. There
Mm-hmm.
is so much information, and I guess at the stage where, okay, well, how much information do you need? What information is crucial? And what information does actually my business need to succeed?
Yeah.
And it can be a complete. If you haven't looked at analytics in a long time, for many business owners, it can be a complete overwhelm. What's all this like? Oh, leads, page views, bounce rates, click-through rates, and all this other information that maybe doesn't come as natural to maybe yourself and I. And investing in your own knowledge and upskilling your own teams if you've got a team, to actually understand those sort of elements or key criteria within your business should put you on a better roadmap and a blueprint for future success.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And I think a lot of people have actually sort of taken this time to learn whatever. I mean, every business owner's got a particular pain point. Yeah. I've learned lots. I'm sure there's lots of people out there that have sort of used this time, and because there was a massive boom at the beginning of COVID where agents were like advertising about, oh, we can help you, and like it got a bit too much, to be honest, on Facebook. Yeah. Oh my God, give it a rest, But I'm sure there's loads of business owners like, well, let's how can I bring it in-house and things, and I mean, you're right, it's a great tip. Sort of learn how to read things like Google Console and Google Analytics is huge. Yeah. I mean, it's just a fantastic bit of tooling. To sort of put this onto a close at this video, I'm going to mention what we're doing on the next video, but I actually can't remember what it is, so I've got to check it out. But what's your key sort of tool you can sort of recommend to people now, and why and what?
What the biggest tool?
So we mentioned at the beginning of the video, we mentioned some sort of pain points, didn't we?
Yeah.
So what I mean, you mentioned Google Analytics, but like what tools do you use when it comes to, say, social media? That you do graphics.
So I mean, there's a variety of different tools that we use in our own business. Some are paid, some are free. Obviously, for a business owner, I'd certainly recommend checking out Google's exhaustive list of products and services they do. If you just use like Gmail for your personal email, that's great. But if from a business perspective, obviously you look at the amount of tools that they've got. Google, we just mentioned a few, but Google Analytics, Google Search Console, even like the free version or free, Google My Business. From a business perspective, what Google My Business does is put you on the map. If people are looking for, electricians or looking for a plumber in Woking or Petersfield, from a business perspective, when they're typing in that search, you can actually see that your picture or your profile is then instantly recognized on Google. And for you, that's a great way of for any business owner, it's a great way of being, increasing that visibility and increasing your brand awareness. In terms of graphic designs, I would recommend, Canva as a sort of stepping stone. And if you're not comfortable with like Photoshop or InDesign or something like that, then Canva is definitely something that we've used in our business to, design. I call it like, an upgrade version of Paint. What you had on Paint on your desktop on your Microsoft PC. Canva is pretty much a great tool to drag and drop certain images and elements, and great way to create visual effects, which again is a great tool. And in our own business, we do use SEMrush, so that just gives us a high level of detail when it comes to data and search results, so keywords and information. When we're doing sort of website audits, when we're doing sort of reporting on clients on a monthly basis, we can actually drill down where they are on a monthly basis in terms of search position, and their competitors. So a lot of businesses, they just focus on themselves. Well, what is it their competitors are doing that we could then almost leverage and extend, our knowledge and leapfrog their businesses.
Yeah, no, good tips, buddy. Especially the Google My Business. I mean, that's like almost one of the first things I start with when I take on someone that's got pretty much a blank canvas, but Google My Business is huge, Canva. I mean, I use Canva all the time. I've got Photoshop and things. I've got Rush for editing videos and things. But I mean, for like it's just so easy. I mean, any client. Say again.
It definitely is. It's like I said, it's an upgraded version of Paint. Anyone can use it. And it's gone from, I think it's gone from strength to strength. Obviously the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, it has. All right. Well, look, for that video, I think that's it. I want to try and find out what we're talking about next week, but the laptop beside me is turned off, it's timed out. But there will be another video next week, and the idea is that we're going to start talking about some of the different channels. I think we're talking about the channels next week, and then we're going to go into depth about the different platforms and the channels. And we just sort of see how it goes. Really, the idea of the video is that we give anyone watching these videos sort of tips and advice, and hope that they can improve their sort of in-house stuff, and at the same time that they know that we're around if they've got any questions and need any further assistance.
Fantastic. Well, nice to talk to you, Paul, and thanks very much for your opportunity.
Pleasure. I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, buddy.